Hello action figure fans, this is HammerTron here with a new action figure review for you. This video goes up on a Monday, so it's Masters of the Universe by Mattel Monday. This time I am reviewing the Skeletor action figure from the Masters of the Universe Origins line. This was released in 2020. I bought it in 2020. I'm now getting around to opening this up. It comes in a package that looks like the Masters of the Universe style packaging from way back in the 1980s. However, these action figures have a lot more articulation than those did way back then, but they look very similar. The same squat body pose with the very big muscles, so it looks nice. It's a card, although I prefer boxes because they're easier to open and put the action figures back in, but this still looks pretty nice. So there is the top, there's the bottom, here is one side, the other side, here is the back with a nice picture on top there, and it shows you how to use the action feature, which is really just using the articulation, and also a cross cell showing the other action figures and some manufacturing information down here. So I will open up this Skeletor and review the action figure in just a moment. Here is the Origins Skeletor battling the Origins He-Man action figures. These are enjoyable action figures. They're pretty fun to pose around and put into different battle poses. Here Skeletor is freed from his plastic prison. These are the accessories that it comes with. He also came with a comic book. This comic book is identical to the comic book that came with He-Man, so exactly the same story. It's a very short comic book. I'm a little disappointed that it's so short. I'm also disappointed that it's the same story. It would have been nice if this were part 2 or a different story. It also comes with a staff, the Havoc staff. It's all molded in plastic, one colored plastic, no painting. But it still looks pretty nice. It's a bit pliable, so we don't want to bend it too much. And here is his sword, molded in purple, and it's a little bit different from He-Man's sword. So Skeletor's sword and He-Man's sword are two halves of the same power sword, so they're meant to plug in together. There they go. However, the problem is at the top it doesn't quite stick together, so they're split apart at the top. So that's just a little disappointing, but either He-Man or Skeletor or someone else can hold the completed power sword. And it also comes apart pretty easily. And here is Skeletor. Let's see how tall Skeletor is. At his highest point, it looks like about 5 3/4 inches tall, or about 14.5 centimeters tall. So nicely sized action figure. And with these newer Masters of the Universe Origin action figures, they're very similar to the original, except we can straighten out the legs. There's more articulation, but even if we straighten out the legs, there's still a bit of a curve in them to simulate the squat battle poses of the original, so this is as tall as we can make Skeletor. So here it looks like a nicely sculpted face, although I'm not so sure I like the open mouth all the time, but at least they put a little bit of paint on it. The eyes look alright, but around the mouth and the teeth, I'm not sure I'm happy with how they painted it. They could have put a little more detail. Here's the hood. Here's his harness. Now it's a softer, pliable plastic, and it's actually pretty loose. It doesn't snap together very tightly, so it comes undone very easily. He also has a belt with a loin guard there. He has the forearms that are common for the evil characters in Masters of the Universe. with some fins. I think these are meant to be fins, so they're just evil character forearms. And then evil character boots down here. And he has clawed feet, so not human feet with boots, but clawed feet. And peg holes on the bottom there. And not many more details. So it looks like the only place with paint would be on the face or the head. All the rest of it looks like it's molded in that color plastic with no painted detail. So let's take a look at the articulation. Skeletor can look up that much. He can look down, turn his head side to side, and tilt his head. That's pretty nice. At the shoulders there's no butterfly joints, but he can move his shoulders up and make a T pose, so that's pretty good. And go all the way around, and that works nicely. And there is a single jointed elbow. Looks like it's going in at a bit less than 90 degrees there. And the same thing on this side, less than 90 degrees. And there's a swivel at the elbow joint. And at the wrist, we can turn the wrist, and there's a hinge at the wrist. Same thing on this side, although this one's pretty loose there. And twist at the waist, at the hips. He can do the splits, so not too bad. And you can kick forward that much and kick back just a little bit. You can kick forward that much and kick back just a little bit. There's no upper thigh twist there. There's a single jointed knee going that far, and this one goes that far. There's also a swivel at the knee, and that is working on both of them. We have a cut at the boot, so we can twist at the boot cut there, and the same thing on this side. And at the ankles, you can go tippy claws and go forward that much. And he has ankle pivot, so very nice. So all the joints are working properly, although a couple of them are a bit loose, like this wrist joint is a bit loose there. Everything else seems to be working. This thing keeps coming apart on the back. And just like He-Man, we can take this apart. So the head, if we're careful, there we go. So the head comes off, and maybe we can swap heads. Also, now it's a very warm day, so I did try taking the arm off, so I want to be very careful. Comes off pretty easily, so we can swap arms if we really want to. Now I don't think this is part of the intended play feature. I think this is just a consequence of the manufacturing process that Mattel chose. Now in these action figures, I don't think there's any metal parts, no screws, no nuts, no bolts. No springs, there's no rubber bands. I think it's all pure plastic. So because it's all pure plastic, it's just easier to snap it together. So I think they chose the quickest and easiest way to put together the action figure, and the quickest and easiest way is also the cheapest way. So I think being able to take it apart is not the intended play feature, just the consequence of their manufacturing process. So let's see if we can get him standing. It looks like he stands pretty nicely. Here is Skeletor next to a pair of 4-inch action figures. On the right is an adventure from an Animal Planet set I reviewed a while ago. On the left is the Fortnite Jonesy action figure by Jazzwares. And this Skeletor figure from the Masters of the Universe Origins line at the 5.5-inch scale works well as a giant muscular monster that the 4-inch scale action figures have to battle. Here is Skeletor next to a 6-inch scale action figure on the left, the Action Force Condor action figure by Valaverse, and a 7-inch scale action figure on the right, the Masters of the Universe Masterverse Skeletor action figure by Mattel. And this Origins Skeletor works well at either scale as a miniature muscular monster for 6 or 7-inch scale action figures, and it kind of works as a mini Skeletor minion. And if we look at the Havoc staff for both of them, it looks like the 7-inch scale Havoc staff is, well, much more nicely sculpted and also painted, while the Origins one is certainly smaller, nice sculpting, but there's no extra painted details. So the smaller one, the Origins one, is more of a toy, while the 7-inch scale action figure is more for collectors. I like this Masters of the Universe Origins Skeletor action figure. I like how it looks. It reminds me of the original way back in the 1980s, although I didn't have very many. Actually, I only had a couple. But I still enjoyed the action figures. I really enjoyed the cartoons. So this action figure is a pretty nice action figure. It looks very much like the original. Plus it has a lot of articulation, so it's more like a modern action figure. So it just looks cool and it feels pretty good. It seems pretty sturdy. So thank you for watching my review video. Remember to like the video, leave a comment, and subscribe to my channel to keep up to date with my future reviews and commentary. I'll see you next time, action figure fans.